how do you start by um, gathering patient information into a centralized location? Uh, how is that possible? What are the methods and processes that you use to gather this information?
So in the beginning, we just offered a standard SaaS solution, which is it's a website. Any human beings can log in and put data, and they could just start cooperating. So the first people to work on it were a physician in London, in the UK's National Children's Hospital called Great Ormond Street Hospital. And she had 35 children she was looking after from across the UK with a very rare condition, which meant they couldn't eat food through their mouth. They had to have it in a tube in their heart. And she said to me when I first met her, she said, I'm really worried about these children. And genuinely, you could see, she constantly worries about the safety and thinks of these children. And she said, these children, when they go to their hospital, their local hospital, they are the only child that hospital physician has seen with that condition. They do not know how to treat that child. Now, they know the only person who knows how to treat that child is the mother who's come with the child. But they don't listen to the mother. They say, no, we have to call London. We have to get a fax for them on how to treat them. Said, can I give these families data so it's with the child? So when they're in the emergency department, the mother can say, look, Great Ormond Street Hospital said, this is how my child should be treated. And you can begin treatment immediately in the correct way. So I said to her, look, you know, we can do a lot of things. I can do test results, care plans. What do you want? She goes, I just want to give them the letter that I used to post for them. I said, okay, I mean, fine. You can do whatever you'd like. Here's how you upload. But you know, I wish she was more ambitious, but let's get her going. And she called me the next day. She said, yesterday I put 5 letters for 5 children in the system. And today a mother replied to my letter on Patients Know Best and said, there's an error in the letter. And she says, I've been a specialist for more than 15 years. It's the first time I get corrected. Now, I know my letters are full of errors because I can't know everything. No one tells me. It's too difficult for them to tell me. So, but I put 5 and I got 1 correction. So then she says to me, what else can I send? Because the more I can give the families, the more they fix stuff and the more quick it is and the safer it is for the children. That's how we started. It's a website. Physician can upload things, patient can enter things, and they can message between each other. 2015 was our first big break when Northwest London, which is a region of 2.4 million people, said we're going to send all the data into the system. So 16 hospitals, 400 physicians' offices, health and social care, everything's going in. That was our big scale contract. But what got us to that point was, up to that point, we'd had all these small deployments, 35 children here, 300 HIV patients there, 200 gastro patients here, and showing that in every specialty, in every locality, this thing can work. Until when London came and said they want to do something for 2.4 million, we had all the proof points, and then they switched on the service from their end, and the fire hose basically came on. So all the, we get millions of test results every week for millions of patients across the UK, and we operate in other countries with different data centers. But that's how the data gets in, either from a computer system that sends everything it has into us, or from humans who manually upload things. And then when it's in the system, anyone can use it with the patient's consent. So if it's, a patient can log in on their phone, a physician in their hospital, and the programming interface makes the data available to any other system with the patient's consent. So you can get it back in the hospital, you can get it in a third-party app, and so on.
Interesting. And do you find that most of the data now that is collected is working directly with providers?
It comes and goes in phases, you know. So every time I think I've got it figured out, something new happens, which is really interesting.
Mm.
So just to give you an example, so we switched on all the feeds from all the hospitals, and it was tremendous for the patients. They could see their test results real time. So I had a patient, an HIV patient, the day he heard the feed was working, he said, I'm going to go and get myself a blood test. And he texted me happy because he got a blood test, and 2 hours later, he got the test results, and he got it before his physician did. And for an HIV patient, that's really valuable because 70% of them are stable, they're working age, they don't want to take half a day off work to get their test result. All they need is their test result. And now he can get it from work, control his life, and so on. So then you think, okay, well, the big thing is the release of the data automatically from the physician's office. Next, we have people who are saying, I want to use this to monitor patients with depression. And they realize that we have data from Fitbit that monitors your sleep. So now the physician can see the last 6 months of your sleep cycle inside patients in their best. And you think, well, okay, how do you get that into the medical record inside the physician's office? The traditional hospital or physician's office system has nowhere to store 6 months of your sleep data. They just have a checkbox. Did you sleep well, yes or no? So this is all completely new data that nobody knows what to do with. And now we've just upgraded our APIs again. The next thing we're looking at is, it's not just, can you get the data from the hospital or the data from the device or the data from the patient? The fact that you're looking at data is data. So if you log in to look at your test result, how quickly do you look at it? That should be a good indicator of how good you are complying with your medications. And if you're not looking at your data at all, then that's a patient you want to find a different way of engaging with, because that's the one who's not going to be sticking to their diet, sticking to their exercise, taking their medications. So that's a whole other data set that exists nowhere, which is data about looking at data. So it becomes really interesting to see what happens when you have a single record across everyone. What do you start doing with that environment?